Today, we are going to break down the one psychological process that basically underpins everything we do, everything we are, and everything we can become. And that is, of course, learning. It's this constant kind of invisible force that shapes our reality from our very first breath to our last.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does it all happen? How do we go from knowing, well, nothing, to navigating this incredibly complex world? It is a transformation so profound that we usually just take it for granted, but it's all powered by this one amazing process.
Think about it like this. On one end, when we start out, we've just got a handful of simple, automatic reflexes. That's it. But on the other end, we can do things like compose symphonies, design spaceships, or just navigate super complex social situations. The gap between those 2 points is just immense, right? And it's bridged by one thing and one thing only: our ability to learn.
So, how does this incredible journey from reflex to reality actually work? Well, it isn't magic. It's a psychological process that we can totally break down. And really, it all rests on 3 core building blocks.
First things first, let's get a quick but really crucial definition on the table. In psychology, learning is a relatively durable change in behavior due to experience. Now, the 2 words you've really got to hang on to there are durable and experience. This is what separates real learning from temporary stuff like, say, feeling sluggish when you're sick, or from just natural growth like a baby getting strong enough to walk. Real learning needs a lasting change that comes directly from you interacting with the world.
So our first building block is the most fundamental one of all. It's about learning by making connections between events. This is called classical conditioning, and its discovery all started with a scientist, some dogs, and, believe it or not, the sound of a bell. Okay, so meet Ivan Pavlov. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even trying to study learning. He was actually researching digestion in dogs. But he stumbled onto something odd. He noticed his dogs started drooling not just when they saw food, but at the simple sound of the lab assistant's footsteps coming down the hall. Their brains had connected that sound with the meal that was about to arrive. And that one little accidental observation, it would literally change psychology forever.
So here's how the whole process breaks down. At first, you have the bell. It's just a sound, totally neutral. It means nothing to the dogs. Then you have the food, which is what we call an unconditioned stimulus. It naturally causes a reflex, salivation. Now here's where the magic happens. During the conditioning phase, Pavlov would ring the bell right before he gave them the food, over and over again. After enough repeats, the dog's brain forges a new connection. That bell is no longer neutral. It's now a conditioned stimulus, and it can trigger that salivation all by itself.
So the big takeaway here is that classical conditioning is all about our brains learning to react to signals that predict important events. And no, it is not just for dogs. Think about that little ping your phone makes when you get an email, that little jolt of anticipation or maybe even dread you feel. That's Pavlov in your packet. Your brain has been conditioned to associate that sound with a message.
But, learning isn't just about automatic reflexes being linked to new triggers. What about all the things we choose to do, our voluntary actions? Well, that brings us to our second building block, operant conditioning, where we learn based on the consequences of our actions.
This quote just nails the whole idea of operant conditioning, a field really pioneered by the psychologist B.F. Skinner. The basic idea is so simple but so powerful. Our behavior is shaped by what happens after we do it. If an action leads to a good thing, we're probably going to do it again. If it leads to a bad thing, well, we're much less likely to.
To really dig into this, Skinner created the famous Skinner box. Picture this. A rat is inside, just kind of exploring, and it accidentally bumps a lever. But then, bam, a food pellet pops out. A little light bulb goes off in that rat's brain. It quickly connects the action, pressing the lever, with the reward, and that behavior has just been reinforced.
And here's where we need to be super clear, because this trips a lot of people up. Reinforcement always makes a behavior more likely to happen again. Always. We usually think of positive reinforcement, where you add something good, like the food pellet. But there's also negative reinforcement, where you remove something bad. So imagine if the floor of that box had a mild electric shock, and pressing the lever turned it off. The rat would learn to press that lever too, right? Both methods strengthen the behavior. One adds a good thing, the other takes away a bad thing.
Okay, so we've got association and we've got consequences. But come on, we don't have to experience everything firsthand to learn, do we? I mean, we'd be in serious trouble if we did. That brings us to our third amazing building block, observational learning, which is just acquiring skills by watching other people.
This is happening to us constantly. We see somebody do something, we watch what happens next, and we just file that information away for later. And it's way more than just monkey see, monkey do. Our brain actually has to pay close attention, create a solid memory of the action, and then figure out how to reproduce it. It's a seriously sophisticated way to learn.
I mean, just think about your own life. Learning a new TikTok dance from a video, picking up the way your parents laugh or tell a story, figuring out what's cool to wear from social media, it is all observational learning. We are constantly surrounded by models, and our brains are just wired to learn from them.
So we have the blueprint, right? We learn through association, through consequences, and through observation. So here's the big question. How can we take this knowledge and use it to actually learn better, on purpose? Let's dive into some practical, science-backed strategies.
First up, let's use a little classical conditioning on ourselves. Pick one specific spot, a desk, a chair, whatever, where you only study. No phone, no snacks, no distractions allowed in that zone. By doing this, you build a powerful association. Just like Pavlov's bell made the dogs drool, that spot will become a trigger that automatically puts your brain into study mode.
Next, it's time to officially say goodbye to the all-night cram session. I know we've all done it, but the research is crystal clear. Spaced practice is way, way more effective. If you break your learning into shorter, separate sessions, you give your brain time to consolidate the information. That leads to much more durable, long-term learning.
And please, stop just rereading your notes over and over. That is a super passive exercise, and all it does is create a false sense of familiarity. Instead, you've got to embrace active recall. You have to force yourself to pull the information out of your own brain. Test yourself constantly. That active retrieval is like doing a bicep curl for your memory. It's what actually builds the strength.
We've all been there, right? You feel super confident before a test, but then you get there and your mind just goes blank. That's usually because we overestimate how well we actually know the material. So what's the psychological trick to fight this? It's called overlearning. When you feel like you've finally mastered a concept, don't stop. Keep going. Keep reviewing. This builds a mental buffer that makes that knowledge totally unshakable, even when you're under pressure.
And finally, the big one, the challenge we all face, procrastination. The absolute best way to beat this is to make your goals concrete and your schedule formal. Don't just say, I'll study later. No, say, I will study Chapter 4 from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at my study desk. That kind of structure gives you a clear plan and helps keep you on track.
So you see, learning isn't some big, mysterious black box. It's a set of tools. You've got tools for forging associations, tools for understanding consequences, and tools for observing the world around us. And these tools give us the power to literally sculpt ourselves into whoever we want to become. So, now you know how the tools work. What masterpiece are you going to build?